You use the patent to walk softly and carry a big stick. By having the patent,
Mm.
hopefully you never need to sue, but you use it as a deterrent.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Richer Geek podcast. Today, we're going to talk about AI. I know a lot of your ears just perked up, all of you Richer Geek tech guys out there. Robert Plotkin, he's an AI patent attorney or lawyer behind tomorrow's AI giants. For 25 years, he's a renowned AI patent attorney. He secured patents for his clients' software and AI inventions. Ears probably perked up a little bit again. It's clear why cutting-edge AI companies worldwide engaged Robert to create patent portfolios that protect and profit. He first shared his AI patent strategies in 2009's groundbreaking The Genie in the Machine. We'll talk a little bit about that. But now, 15 years later, he has another publication, AI Armor, securing the future of your AI company and strategic intellectual property. How you doing, Robert?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So, I always like to start the episode on a little background about yourself, um, how you got from maybe some other type of tech patent stuff into the AI space, or did you just say, hey, you know what, that's where everyone's going and that's what I'm doing, you know? So give us a little bit about who Robert Plotkin is.
Yeah. I always have been working on software patents, obtaining software patents for clients, going back now almost 30 years. My background's in software.
Mhm.
First computer I touched was a TRS-80 back in the early 80s, programming in BASIC. That's what got me hooked.
Yeah.
I went on to study computer science at MIT, came out, went to law school, and started working as a patent lawyer, always working on software patents. And then I started to see, even back in the early 2000s, how the AI back then, it wasn't as powerful as
Hmm.
it is now, but the AI back then was being used by people to accelerate the innovation process. People were using AI to help design drugs. People were using AI back then to design physical products like toothbrushes and antennas, and they're
Hmm.
using AI to write software. So I saw that as a software geek, as a patent lawyer, and thought, wow, that's pretty amazing that people are using software to write software, they're using software to invent, they're using AI software to automate or partially automate the inventive process. What are the implications of that for patents? Can you get a patent on a circuit that was designed with a piece of software? You
Hmm.
know, is the software the inventor? I mean, is AI going to replace human inventors? All that stuff. So that's when I wrote that first book. It was called The Genie in the Machine, 2009. And I've always been helping clients get patents on both new types of AI and on things that they invent using AI, right? And so, it was a lot of work directly for clients when AI wasn't a hot topic. And then, of course, just about 2 years ago, almost 2 years to the day when ChatGPT launched.
Hmm.
And that's when, AI took the world by storm. And now
Well,
everyone knows
that's when
about
I
it.
thought it was invented. That's how much I know.
Yeah. And so, since that time, there's been thousands of startup companies
Hmm.
created developing new kinds of AI. And what's both really exciting and scary is that some of those companies have flared up and gone under almost as fast as they came into existence. For a couple of reasons. One is that the technology is developing so rapidly, things can become really useful and obsolete really quickly. And the second reason is that the big tech companies like OpenAI and Microsoft and Google, they see what a small tech company is doing, a new AI product that they've put out, and they say, "Hey, this would be nice for us to use," and they incorporate it into ChatGPT or into one of their other products. And then the small tech company can't compete with that, and so,
Hmm.
over the last 2 years, there have been a ton of small AI companies that have launched and then been made obsolete when they've been out competed by a big tech company. And that's where I like to try to come in and help small companies is by obtaining patent protection for them. that they could at least use to try to defend themselves against competitors and bigger companies. And we can talk about this, use patents as an asset in the business, that even if they're going to, let's say, get acquired by a Microsoft, that
Yeah.
patent can be used as an asset to add value to the business in an acquisition if they are going to be acquired.
So let's talk about that a little bit because I think that if you are small, you have two choices. You either go in IP or you hope that a Google or someone buys you and all of a sudden you become, the next billionaire or at least, um, a lot of money. So let's talk about the fact that I didn't know that you could have a patent of any kind and then still get money, passive income from it. So talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how that works.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people don't think about patents that way. They think that if you get a patent on a mousetrap, right? You
Yeah.
sell the mousetrap, and if a competitor knocks you off and sells a mousetrap, you can use the patent to sue them and stop them from selling it, which is
Hmm.
true. That is one thing. But what you can also do is the patent itself, it's like a derivative, almost like a stock, right? It is a separate asset that you own, a piece of property, which you could sell the patent, which is different from selling the mousetrap. You can license the patent, which is like renting it in a sense. You can say to another company, "Oh, you want to manufacture this mousetrap? You're going to have to pay me a fee, a royalty on the patent in order for me to give you permission to manufacture that mousetrap." And that's a way of generating licensing revenue from the patent. And as you
Hmm.
said, a lot of small companies don't either even know that you can do this with patents, or they don't think about generating a separate stream of revenue
Hmm.
from patent licensing. And I'm not saying it's easy to do, it takes an effort. You need to have patents that are valuable to competitors and to bigger companies. But once you have them, you can generate revenue from patents separately from the revenue you generate from the sale of your products and services. It's a really important thing to think about from the beginning as part of your overall business strategy.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So you can patent, and here's a question. Let's say I use OpenAI for example. I use OpenAI to create a product. I patent that product. I make a lot of money in that product, but it was 100% made by OpenAI. Can OpenAI come and say, "Hey, wait a minute, that's actually mine, not yours"?
Great question. Great question. Lots of products out there in the software and
Mhm.
non-software world build on other existing technologies as a foundation, right? And you think about any software that you write on a Windows platform,
Mhm.
right? You could say it runs on Windows. It requires Windows to work. Maybe you wrote it using Microsoft Visual Studio, right? You used all kinds of Microsoft technology to build it. But once you create that new software, if it includes some patentable algorithm, you own the patent. Microsoft doesn't own the patent. But it might be the case that to sell a product that makes use of the patent, you've got to make use of Microsoft
Mhm.
technologies, in which case you might be in a situation where you, as the patent owner, you have a right to stop other people from selling your patented software, but you may have to license certain technology from Microsoft. It's very common
Sure.
that both of those things are true.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that, Microsoft or AWS, those some of the big ones where, hey, look, you got to run AWS, or Microsoft in order for this thing to work because it's built
Right.
on their platform. And that makes sense. I like some of the questions you have, with um, you like if the AI company doesn't intend to sue the competitors for infringement, then why do they need the patent? So can
Yeah.
they just kind of get rid of it? How does that work? It's like, oh, no, I'm not going to sue them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that probably 99% of my clients obtain patents and don't intend to ever sue. And so you
Yeah.
might say, well, why do that? Well, one is that you use the patent to walk softly and carry a big stick. By having the patent,
Mm,
hopefully you never need to sue, but you use it as a deterrent against your competitors
hmm
selling products that would infringe your patent, but that you know and they know that if they ever did knock you off, you would be able to sue.
hmm
More importantly, for most of my clients that are small startups, right? As you
hmm
said, the two things they want to do is either uh, go public or get acquired 99% of the time. I
Yeah.
mean, some of them want to become the next Microsoft or Google, but there's very, very few companies that will achieve that in a generation, right? So they want to be acquired or go public or merge or something like that.
hmm
In that case, the value of the patent is that it's an asset. It adds value. If you go to a Microsoft, you show them your patent portfolio,
hmm
and they see that portfolio and see that it's something that will help them protect themselves against their competitors, then it makes you more attractive and more valuable to them to acquire.
Now, how does it work? Mike Stoller just created something out of the blue. I patent it, and Microsoft, some big, big wigs come, and here I am with my one attorney. They bring in 30 or 40 people, for that intimidation factor. Um, is that, it seems like that litigation would be just a game of, I've got a bigger stick. I've got 30 or 40 at 3,000 an hour, 4,000 an hour. You've got your store shop attorney. Is it a game of kings? I mean, how in the world could I ever compete in something like
Yeah.
that?
So let me first acknowledge US patent litigation is very expensive. There's no
Yeah,
question about it. It's long. Often, if you really go to court and want to go through to a trial, it's going to
yeah,
take several years.
yeah.
And how can a small company do that? Fortunately, in the US, there has built up a market for both financing for litigation and law firms that will take on strong patents on
hmm
contingency fee.
hmm
So what that means is you're an individual, you've got a patent portfolio, you're not going to be able to shell out millions of dollars for patent litigation. But if
hmm
you got a strong case that a big company is infringing your patent portfolio, you can go to a litigation law firm, go to a litigation funder, and get funding for this litigation. Everyone's going to take a cut of the
hmm
proceeds. Okay, there's no way around that. But it means that you don't have to pay anything up front. And it means the funder, the law firm will only get paid if and when they can generate a successful outcome for you and a payout for you. And I
Yeah,
have had clients do it. I'm not recommending it. It's not fun. It's not easy. No one gets involved in patent litigation for the fun of it. But I have had clients who have done that and have done it successfully against the biggest companies. I had one client just come out of 5 years of litigation against Google for patent infringement. It was in the news,
Hmm.
went to trial in Boston. There was 3 weeks of trial. They settled right before closing arguments. And so it does happen, and it is now possible, even for an individual or small company, to engage in that game of kings against the biggest companies.
yeah. And it kind of got in my brain with some past podcast episodes, ladies and gentlemen. I've actually had some people on the podcast that invest. They bring in investors that they say, "Hey, did you know that you could even invest in the courtroom?" So there
Yes.
are actually companies out there that bring in investors because they're the ones that are funding what you just said, and that just kind of piqued my brain a little bit. So I come to you and say, like, patents are expensive and things like that, just to do that. And I already have a copyright. I already have my little trade secrets and all that sort of stuff. That's not enough. You need to go through the whole process.
Patents are best for certain types of technologies and situations.
Hmm.
Because they are relatively expensive, I would never recommend that a company just patent everything that it develops. Some
Yeah.
things are best kept for copyright protection or trade secret protection. But where a patent is best is when you've developed a new algorithm. In AI, it might be a way of training a model, for example, or a new application, like a new kind of a chatbot in the case of
Hmm.
AI, or a new medical application that uses AI. And if
Hmm.
what you have was difficult to develop or required some real ingenuity to develop, and if once your customers and competitors see it, it's easy for them to copy. That's a good combination
Yeah.
of factors that weigh in favor of patent protection. Because otherwise, if it's easy to copy, once people see how it works, then
Hmm.
they'll just copy it, right? And compete with you, and you'll have put all that investment in and won't be able to recoup it. And patent can protect you against that. And let me just say a couple of things about a patent that are more powerful than a trade secret or a copyright.
Hmm.
uh, Someone can infringe your patent even if they're on the other side of the country and they don't know that you exist. They don't know about your
Hmm.
product. They don't know about your patent. They come up with the same idea as you. They start selling your AI software that does the same thing. They're still infringing your patent. Patent doesn't require that someone else copy you. And a patent, if it's well written, can cover the same basic process algorithm idea, even if someone implements it in slightly different ways, different than a copyright or a trade secret. So that's why, although it's expensive to invest in, it's worth it for those situations where it has high value.
Yeah, that makes sense because, I might somewhere in Arizona, I might just create something. I have no idea if someone in New Jersey did the exact same thing unless I hire a bunch of people to look it up, things like
Right.
that. But I may just be all excited and I maybe have been working on it for 10 years and finally, and just someone beat me, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're like going, oh man, if I just hadn't slept, I might have beat the people. Um, but trademarks, it doesn't have to be like a big thing. I created this big thing. It could be just a little prompt that you need
Mm-hmm.
to, how small and minuscule of a thing do you need to patent?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. A lot of people think you have to come up with something that's completely 100% new, which is not true.
Hmm.
Uh, an invention has to be the easiest way to think about it is it has to solve some technical problem. I mean, when I'm talking to an inventor or a company and they're thinking about patenting something, I say, what? And they've got a new way of training a model. I say, why couldn't you just use the model from OpenAI off the shelf,
Hmm.
GPT or something? What was it that couldn't be done
Hmm.
using existing technology that caused you to try to create this new thing? And if there's a really good answer to that, then they might have something patentable. And then I say, what was difficult or challenging about creating this thing that you've got? Was there some challenge you had to overcome? And if they say, "Oh yeah," and we came up with an idea originally and it did not work, and then we investigated it and we went back to the drawing board and we came up with a different approach and we tried that and that didn't work, and we did a bunch of experiments and eventually we figured out it had to work this other way. Then I say, you know what? Then you probably have something that's patentable.
Okay, there you
So it
go.
doesn't matter how big the improvement is. It
Yeah.
matters whether it was unusual or unexpected or required overcoming some challenge that other people hadn't overcome before.
Yeah, I know a lot of entrepreneurs started something because it's, man, I wish I could do this. Why can't I do this? And those people with those type of brains, they create it. Me, I just keep wishing that I could do something. It's and, that's why there are Elon Musk and normal people like me. Again, everybody's Robert Plotkin with Blue Shift IP software patent experts, Blue Shift ip.com. Let's talk a little bit about AI armor. I buy the book. What is in the book? What am I going to find?
Yeah, so the book really talks about a lot of the things we've been talking about, which is why are patents valuable, particularly for startup companies that are developing new types of AI. One of the reasons is that there's so much competition from their peers, so many
Mhm.
other startups trying to tackle the same challenges. I mean, agent-based systems is the big one right now. Everyone's trying to create the best, biggest, most successful agent-based system. And there might be one big approach that surfaces as the right one. Maybe there's going to be a bunch of different approaches, but when there's a lot of competition, it can be really valuable for a startup company to get a patent on their approach to things to help protect them against their competitors. And then the other thing is to protect them against, I call them the big AI, the giants of AI, Microsoft, Google, Meta,
Right.
Amazon, OpenAI,
Yeah.
because those are the companies who are constantly looking at what the startups are doing and deciding what are we going to incorporate
Hmm.
into ChatGPT? What are we going to incorporate into Microsoft Copilot? And if what the startups are doing isn't patented, then those big companies just incorporate what they want for free and basically free ride off the backs of small innovators. And without patent protection, as a small innovator, there's virtually nothing you can do to stop a big company from doing something like that. So that's the first thing I talk about in AI Armor. And the second thing I talk about is all of the uses of patents. Well, I talk about what is it that you can patent in AI. It can be training a model. It can be applications based on a model. It
Yep.
might be the model itself. It might be the products you design using AI. There's all different types of things you can patent. And then what are the uses? You can license, you can sell, you can use it to increase the value of your company for an acquisition or an IPO, you can litigate, all of these different things that people don't often think about as part of the strategy. And then I talk about, depending on how you're going to use patents, what do you need to do in the beginning to choose what it is you're going to patent to maximize the value of that patent and to maximize the
Mhm.
return on investment. You have really scarce resources as a startup. You need
Right.
to decide really carefully where to put your money and where to focus it. So I talk all about that in the book. It's very practical, strategic, and tactical.
Yeah, there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are developing new AI, make it sound like a real human being. As far as like when I rewrite a paragraph using AI, nobody talks like that. It's like it's not even Shakespearean. I don't even know what it is, but I'm like going that it's so AI. So let's develop something, ladies and gentlemen, that sounds like you and I. And that's my biggest thing when I'm writing things. I'm like going, you know, if I ever talked like that, no, I'd have no friends. It's hilarious. Robert, before I let you go, is there
Yep.
anything that I did not cover today that you'd like to talk to us about?
No, I think, we've really covered all of the important bases. The soapbox I'm always on is to preach to startup companies who might think patents are too expensive.
Hmm.
Patents don't have any value for us. We're just going to be first to market and use that first mover advantage or use other things which are all valuable. I'm not denigrating them, but who aren't aware of the important, valuable role that patents can play in their overall business strategy. So no, we've talked about all of that, and I
Hmm.
think the last thing I would say is that in the patent world, if you launch a product, if you release a demo, if you market, if you publish a paper, those can result in you forfeiting your patent rights. You can't
Hmm.
wait forever to patent. It's ideal to file a patent application before you make things public. So I suggest to people always at least consult with a patent attorney fairly early on. I often have people come to me, I have a consultation with them, and then I don't speak to them for another year or a year and a
Right.
half. But at least they understand what they should avoid doing so they don't shoot themselves in the foot. for when it comes time to file a patent application. I
Hmm.
think that's the last thing I mentioned.
And when they do that demo, is it good enough to say patent pending?
Yeah, patent pending is really valuable. So just what patent pending means is that you have filed a patent application
Hmm.
and that it's pending at the patent office, it's waiting to be examined, or it's in the process of being examined at the patent office. And if you have a patent pending patent application, you can say that publicly,
Hmm.
and that can be valuable. It can add some value to your company, has marketing value, and sometimes it can also deter competitors. If they see, oh, that thing's patent pending, maybe I shouldn't launch a product that does the same thing as that patent pending product.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody, Robert Plotkin at Blue Shift IP Software Patent Experts. If you're thinking about it, give them a call. How can people find you, Robert?
Go to blueshiftip.com. I'm also on LinkedIn all the time. I post all kinds of stuff about patents, AI, software patents, AI patents. LinkedIn.com/in/Robert Plotkin, just my whole name.
There you go.
Uh, Follow me there and message me there. I'm on LinkedIn all the time.
All right, Robert, thank you so much for coming on the Richer Geek. Everybody, this concludes another episode of the Richer Geek podcast. Take care.